Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Folks, today is Friday, May 9th, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. In a surprise move, a federal judge has postponed the sitting of a jury in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Legal analyst Candace Kelley was in the courtroom, and she'll tell us exactly what is going on in that particular case. A Black Texas mother whose son was killed by a Lubbock County Sheriff's deputy wants answers about his death. She'll be on the show to tell us exactly what happened. Also, I'll talk to a Missouri Democratic state representative who lit up the GOP over the capital gains bill and caring about poor people. Also, dumbass Donald Trump calls the Mattel toy company a country, saying he'll slap tariffs on them. And the thugs in Trump's ICE. They arrest the mayor of New Jersey, rough up an elderly member of Congress. Folks, wait till we show you the video. This harkens back to the days during Jim Crow of Jim Clark, as well as Bull Connor. It is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. On the Black Star Network, let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, jury selection in the case of Sean Diddy Combs has been postponed after the federal judge granted a request from the defense team, the prosecution. They objected to that. This is the final step to narrow down the potential jurors from 45 down to the folks who were here at the jury, as well as the alternates. Legal analyst Candace Kelley was sitting in the courtroom today. Candace joins us right now. So what the heck happened?
Well, here's what happened. You had 45 jurors that we had these hundreds of jurors finally whittled down to. And so today was supposed to be the day where the attorneys were supposed to ask the jurors, and they were going to seat those 12 jurors and 6 alternate jurors. What happened was that over the weekend, there was one juror who wrote the court and said, look, for my well-being, I really don't want to be a part of this. And then there was another potential juror who actually lied on his questionnaire. He was a part and is a part of a lawsuit against the city of New York, and he did not disclose that. So because of that, we are now down to 43 jurors. What the judge was scared of was that if the jurors were seated today, then they would spend the next 48 hours thinking about their situation, and then they'd have even more jurors pulling out, and then Monday would be a no-go. So he decided, let's just wait till Monday. We're going to seat all of the jurors, and then thereafter, we're going to go right into our opening arguments. So that's what happened. They want to make sure that this pool stays intact.
So it's a pool of 45, but it's going to be narrowed down to exactly how many?
It's going to be 12 jurors and then 6 alternate jurors for a total of 18. And right now we're at 43 because of those 2 jurors who are no longer a part of this process.
Gotcha. And so, but it's not like there's going to be a delay in the trial. There's simply a delay in this final jury selection process.
Exactly. And it really is a part of strategy in order to make sure that everybody stays intact. Because at that point, if today they decided, hey, all right, we've selected our 12 jurors and our 6 alternate, and then out of those 12 or those 6, you had more people pull out, well, then we're back at the beginning again. And he did not want that to happen. He knows how fraught this case is. He knows how worried people are about not only their livelihoods, but their potential safety, you know, what people think of the case. People are crazy out there. Will they say or do anything to jurors? There's a lot to think about. And if you're allowed 48 hours this weekend to think about that, you might potentially pull out for all of the media coverage and everything in and around this case. So that's where we are now. But, you know, one of the key things today was another argument that was made, and that had to do with Cassie and coercive force. And this was very important because we got a chance to see the strategy of the defense. Here's what we learned. We learned that the defense is going to say that Cassie herself, not only was she in an abusive domestic violent relationship, but she herself was violent. And therefore, for her to be coerced into a certain situation that they are saying Diddy did, she couldn't have been coerced because she's a fighter herself. She's abusive herself. And because that's the way they interacted, the defense is saying, Sean thought that just carried over into other parts of their lives. So you have to have this prerequisite of the coercion in order to get to the sex trafficking, which is why this coercion part is very important. Was she coerced or not? Is she this violent fighter that they seem to be going in? Well, that will be in the direction then that's going to be up to the jury to decide. But there definitely is a part of their plan to say she herself was an abusive partner.
What about this missing key witness?
Yeah. You know, the missing key witness is important because as we go into opening arguments, we know that the prosecution and the defense, they lay out their roadmap as to what witnesses are going to hear, what their arguments are going to be, what evidence is going to prove their case. So we have this one witness, this victim that has gone missing in a sense. And they've been trying, the defense, the prosecution team has been trying to reach her attorney, and they say that there are personal issues going on, and therefore she may not be able to be a part of this case. And this is important, and I think important for the prosecution. This is a win for them that at least they know beforehand she's not going to be there. Because the one thing you don't want to do, Roland, is promise the jurors that they're going to hear from a witness, then all of a sudden that witness doesn't appear. It's kind of suspect, and there certainly will be talk about that in the deliberation room. So I'm sure that they're glad to get that out of the way. And listen, the door is open. Anything could happen over the weekend. That's what's really important about this case. It is so huge being compared to the OJ trial. It is something with so many eyes on it, tens of millions of dollars being spent, 8 weeks of time, over 100 witnesses. Listen, this was narrowed down from 600-700 people in terms of a pool of jurors down to the 43 that we are at now. This is a huge deal, and I would say that that door is open for even more things to potentially change before we hear from opening arguments on Monday.
All right, then. So it's a lot going on there, and this is expected to last some 2 months. And again, the prosecution, what they actually have to prove is that these parties crossed the line from being sex, drug-fueled sex parties to coercion.
And then really what the defense is going to be saying is, look, this was consensual. These are two consenting adults. Roland, a lot of people speak about this case in terms of this being compared to the R. Kelly case. The difference between this and R. Kelly is that there were no children involved in this particular case, which is why the defense is going with these are consenting adults that are part of this. A lot of people have also been asking, well, if this is a RICO case and you have different people, getting together and you're part of this criminal enterprise, where are the other people? Well, we're going to find out, I'm sure, that the other people made deals. Now, is this good for the prosecution? No, because if they made deals, they possibly could have lied in order to get those deals. But this is why we are seeing Sean Combs singularly in this courtroom, because other people have made deals, but we will certainly hear from those other people on the witness stand tell their story.
Oh, indeed, indeed. All right, Candace, appreciate that breakdown. We're going to take a break. We come back. More to talk about, including Donald Trump wanting to shut the borders down, but he has no problem bringing in some 50,000 white South Afrikaners. That's right, the folks who were believing apartheid into America. That's actually happening. So he gets his desire to bring in white people into the United States. We'll tell you all about it. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. The Tuskegee Institute, now university, forever linked to the infamous and despicable syphilis experiments done on the poor rural farmers in Alabama and the Tuskegee Airmen, the famous heroes of World War II. But its history is about so much more. In his new book, The Tuskegee Student Uprising, author Brian Jones reveals a largely untold history, rich in radical activism and reform.
Suddenly the students are meeting these folks whose lifestyle is very different from theirs, very rural, but they're seeing them lose family members. People in their family disappear.
How Tuskegee became an epicenter for Black power. An amazing history lesson on the Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up? It's Sammy Roman.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. All the folks you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that like button. That's important for folks to be able to, of course, see the content here. Folks, Donald Trump, we know he can't stand black people. He can't stand women. So is it a shock that last night he fires the highly, eminently qualified librarian over the Library of Congress? Carla Hayden became the country's top librarian in 2016 and had about a year and a half left on her 10-year term. Democrats were quick to criticize the action. In fact, they sent her an email from an aide of Donald Trump. That's crazy. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries said in this statement, Dr. Carla Hayden is an accomplished, principled, and distinguished librarian of Congress. Her historic tenure has taken the institution to new heights, and I'm thankful for her incredible service. Donald Trump's unjust decision to fire Dr. Hayden in an email sent by a random political hack is a disgrace and the latest in his ongoing effort to ban books, whitewash American history, and turn back the clock. The Library of Congress is the people's library. There will be accountability for this unprecedented assault on the American way of life sooner rather than later. Now, folks, on Tuesday, Hayden testified before the Senate Appropriations Committee about the library's fiscal budget for 2026. Here's some of her testimony.
This is an opportunity to provide testimony in support of the library's fiscal 2026 budget request. The mission of the library is to engage, inspire, and inform the Congress and the American people with a universal and enduring source of knowledge and creativity. Above all, the library exists to serve. Service to Congress remains the foundation for the library's mission every day with analysis, policy consultations, briefings, programs, and constituent engagement. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for the ongoing and extraordinary support that this committee and Congress gives to the library. I especially appreciate the funding you have provided for major information technology IT investments that we are implementing and continuously improving to meet user expectations for greater access and new and enhanced tools. Also,
she's actually the first actual librarian to lead the Library of Congress. That lying press secretary of Donald Trump's, Carolyn Levitt. Listen to what this idiot had to say about the firing today of Carla Hayden.
The president fired the Librarian of Congress. Why did he choose to do that?
We felt she did not fit the needs of the American people. There were quite concerning things that she had done at the Library of Congress in the pursuit of DEI and putting inappropriate books in the library for children, and we don't believe that she was serving the interests of the American taxpayer well, so she has been removed from her position, and the president is well within his rights to do that.
So what they really mean is books from black authors. That's really what this is all about. So it's no shock you have these idiots with their racist and disgusting takes on this. Again, we're talking about the first African-American, the first woman, and the actually real librarian to hold the office. We're going to bring in Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show out of Detroit, joining our panel as well. And Michael, listen, they don't want black folks. They don't want women. And they damn sure can't stand black women. That's what this is all about.
Absolutely. And Roland, this is about using DEI to wipe out African Americans all across the board, attack African Americans, attack Latinos, whatever it is, say that they're unqualified when they are highly qualified. The first librarian. Now, the Library of Congress was founded in 1800, okay? Founded in 1800. That's 3 years before the Louisiana Purchase. And when you look at this right here, Caroline Levitt could not state specifically what was done that was wrong that disqualified her. She talked about inappropriate books in the library for children. Okay, well, which inappropriate books? Right. What was inappropriate about them? So what they do is they throw out DEI to attack Harvard University, Columbia University. Howard is coming. I'm telling you, HBCUs are coming, and they're doing this. This is straight out of Project 2025. This is what they have been planning, and all of this is a backlash to the racial reckoning that was taking place in this country as after the death of George Floyd. And she had 1 year left in her tenure. It's a 10-year tenure. She was appointed by President Barack Obama. So more things like this are coming. This is terrible, but it's not unexpected coming from the traitor-in-chief.
Yeah, but here's the whole deal. This is normally an apolitical position, Candace. The numbers are astonishing. First of all, this is how shameless these people are. This is the email that they actually sent to Carla Hayden. Carla, first of all, have some respect, you assholes, by addressing her by Miss Hayden or Mrs. Hayden. No, go back, please. Thank you. Leave it there. Carla, on behalf of President Donald J. Trump, I'm writing to inform you that your position as a Librarian of Congress is terminated effective immediately. Thank you for your service. Candace, that was it. That was it. That's how, again, shameful the email is that they actually sent out. And again, the Library of Congress, to understand, again, the historical points, since 1802, only 14 people have held the position. The predecessor to Carla Hayden held it for 28 years. This is what you get with these thugs, Donald Trump and his thugs.
You know what's happening, Roland? I see it as them rolling back and not having the constitutional convention that normally or very hard to have in order to try to change the amendments that are out there. Because one by one, all of our amendments are being eradicated. You can look at the 14th Amendment, the 5th Amendment in terms of due process, the First Amendment in terms of, protesting Columbia's campus, or even the Supreme Court making a decision and then Donald Trump saying, no, I'm just not going to listen to this 9-0 agreement by the justices. What he's doing is little by little is he is very much tapping and tapping away at all of the amendments that are out there. This time, it is the First Amendment. This is what it's about. It's about the First Amendment and schooling and making sure that whatever young people read or anybody reads in any system matches his agenda. And so we are talking really about censorship. That is what is on the table. And the First Amendment is at stake. It has always been at stake, and it will continue to be at stake if we do not fight and become informed about these issues so that we know the language with which we should fight with. And that's a problem. He is in a position now between his executive orders and this whole DEI umbrella that we were talking about, where everything can just be swept up under it. So the fight continues, but this is all about censorship in the First Amendment. Yes, DEI, yes, blacks, LGBT, women. They've banned books from women who talk about having freckles because they are different. So we're talking about kind of the most ridiculous things about how they want to make sure that people are not offended by certain things because they're treated differently than another person. Very backwards approach, and is certainly an attack on the First Amendment.
Yeah, but it's not just the first. When you look at all their actions, and we're going to get to this when it comes to the arrest of Mayor Ras Baraka, they don't care about the Fifth Amendment. They don't care about the 14th Amendment. The only amendment they care about is the Second Amendment, Michael.
Yeah, Roland. Well, you're dealing with a thug president. So when you have somebody that's a 34-time convicted felon, you can expect them not to follow the law. OK, and so once again, this is an example how elections have consequences. OK, so we're going to see more of this. We have to continue fighting against this. But this is a lawless administration. And you're going to see more attacks using diversity, equity, and inclusion actually to fire people. OK, we see the closing of the Minority Business Development Agency, OK, which distributed billions of dollars in contracts for African-American owned businesses. We saw that the Environmental Protection Agency was cutting grants, wiping out grants, talking about DEI. We saw that when you look at Cancer Alley, the lawsuit that the Department of Justice had against the petroleum company the petrochemical company, I should say, in Louisiana, in the area called Cancer Alley. They dropped that lawsuit citing DEI. Cancer Alley is 92% black, 92% African American. So all these policies, even though they were not 100% for African Americans, we did gain some benefit. OK, but now they are reversing all that. Yeah, they're
just slapping DEI on everything. This
is the new critical race theory.
It's like we're just going to slap DEI on everything. But the real thing here that Candace laid out is Donald Trump, when he was, see, this is what people don't understand. He was not joking when he said, I want to be a dictator on day one. His whole deal is Candace, they want to take as much executive power. They believe that that legislative is irrelevant, judicial is irrelevant, that they hold all power. He wants to be a king. He wants to be Putin. He wants to be a dictator.
He's doing that is he's finding workarounds. He's finding workarounds in executive orders. He's finding workarounds you probably have noticed in various press conferences when he's asked questions, he'll tell you, well, that's not the question that you should be asking. Or he will say, I absolutely know nothing about that. When, like Michael said, not only has he known about it, but, there's pen to paper about it in Project 25. So what they're doing is really a lot of strategy, right? And then they're putting things out in the forefront so that we worry about other things and won't worry about the desegregation policy that was just reversed down in the Louisiana parish, right? We know about that, but it's not headlining news. We're talking about things like the UK and tariffs, which certainly are important, but meanwhile, simmering right below everything, right? I mean, like they say in the South, if it was snake, it would have bit us. It's right there if we look. There's a lot of snake biting that's about to go on because he's doing things right in our faces, but we're not paying attention. And by the we, I mean people who need to be better versed on the laws, to understand what it means to go to the polls and vote. 90 million people sat down and didn't do anything this time around. And just being informed enough so that you can fight for your rights. I find that many times people do not know even what they're supposed to fight about because they're just not informed or they're misinformed by the media. So that's where we are right now. It's really incumbent upon everybody to do their jobs to try to make sure that everybody is well aware of what is going and to pay attention to the details and what's going on beyond the surface, not just at the top.
Well, yeah, but the problem is when you have media who believes this stuff is just cute and they don't want to call it what it is and are unwilling to actually check him on this. All right, folks, going to go to break. Lots to talk about, including Missouri State Representative who just blisters the Republicans when it came to them and the capital gains bill. We'll also talk about the ICE arresting Newark Mayor Ras Baraka. Folks, we're talking about, we're going back to Jim Clark and Bull Connor days. Members of Congress are outraged in the process. They roughed up an elderly female member of Congress. They're getting blasted. We're going to show you the video of what took place. It's shocking and stunning, but we know Trump doesn't care because all they care about is playing up to the camera. So lots to break down here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Be sure to support the work that we do. Joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars are critically important for the work that we do. If you want to contribute via Cash App, please use the Stripe QR code. It's right here. You can see the QR code there. Point your phone to it. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com and go to our site. Check it out. Also, you want to send a check and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. If you want to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag, like the shirt that I'm wearing the crew neck. Don't blame me. Don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. Y'all see the T-shirt? Come on. Thank you. Come on. Come on. Thank you. All right, y'all see me wearing the sweatshirt. Don't blame me, but for the black woman, we got a sweatshirt, hoodie, T-shirt as well. Be sure to get that swag by going to rolandmartin.creator-spring.com, rolandmartin.creator-spring.com. Come on, let's show the graphic, please. Let's we can get our shirts or go blackstarnetwork.com. We'll be right back.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
In France, me and Tony, and accidentally went to the Louvre, right? I had never been, and I saw a side door. And we got off the little bus. I said, come on, let's go to the Louvre. I mean, I'm just like, let's go to the Louvre, right? We're here. This black girl is at the door with this white guy, black African girl. And she says, oh my God, Vanessa Bell Calloway. And I'm like this, you know me? And come to find out we were at the wrong door. But she said, I'm gonna let you just go in here. But I was in Paris, France. Mm-hmm. And that shocked me. She knew my name, she knew me. Mm-hmm. My movie. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's like, you just gotta, they say, build and they will come. Put it out there, people will find it, they will come.
This week on the other side of change.
Let's talk. Vote blue no matter who.
We need political imagination more than ever, and unfortunately, some people on the Democratic side really are discouraging that. We're going to dig into all of it.
The Democratic Party needs to remember who they are and who they are responsible to.
This is On the Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
This is Reggie Rock Byford. You're watching
Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable.
You hear me?
All right, folks, a lot of drama happening when it comes to HBCU presidents. We're going to show you again, Will Packer, Florida A&M, a prominent graduate, just ripped into one of the choices for their finalists, targeting a black, what he calls a black MAGA Republican. Now, Bethune-Cookman, also in Florida, they've announced the finalists, 3 finalists for their president to lead the historic 124-year-old HBCU in Daytona Beach. A 15-member search committee of board members, faculty, students, alumni, community leaders have narrowed the field to the candidates. They will each visit the campus for interviews and community conversations. The finalists are Dr. Albert Mosley, the president of Morningside University in Iowa, a first-generation college graduate. He holds degrees from Duke and Yale, is known for innovation, expanding access. Dr. Tundra Nika Coleman-Farrell, vice president of academic affairs at Palm Beach State College. She leads the 5-campus system with more than 40,000 students. She's an alum of Florida Atlantic University, known for student success and equity leadership, and also Dr. Sharonda Gibbs, the Dean of Business and Economics at Morehouse College. She has degrees from Grambling State, Jackson State, and is respected for her work in entrepreneurship and faculty development. So that's what's happening at Bethune-Cookman. We told you earlier the week the president of Jackson State abruptly resigned. They still have not given any reason why he's resigned. And the presidential search at Florida A&M is not going well. And Rattler Nation, and I've gotten emails from folks about what's going on at Florida A&M, and they say that one candidate absolutely should not be considered. They have been targeting Marva Johnson, a telecom executive. She's a lobbyist for Comcast with extensive ties to Governor Ron DeSantis, also was one of the electors for Donald Trump, and they've been hitting her hard, saying not only has she never run a university, they say she's never worked at a university, but she is one of the finalists from for the president's office. Now, starting Monday, the finalists will begin interviews, visiting the campus, meeting with faculty, students, and staff. And also the interviews will be live streamed. We'll be carrying those interviews right here on the Black Star Network. Now, as I said, Florida A&M alum Will Packer, Hollywood producer who's given lots of money. The amphitheater on campus is named after him. He dropped this video last night and has continued to put pressure, calling on Florida A&M Rattlers to stand up. And again, he is specifically targeting Marva Johnson, saying she is grossly unqualified to even be a finalist to be the president of Florida A&M. This is what he dropped on social media.
This is an urgent message for alumni and students of Florida A&M University, and a warning for all those who love and support HBCUs. HBCUs are under attack. MAGA is trying to take over leadership at several of our beloved institutions. Right now, FAMU is in the bullseye. Hear me loud and clear. Right this very minute, a group of activist Republicans are trying to put in the highest position of power someone who is solidly and objectively unqualified for it. Her name is Marva Johnson. FAMU deserves better. Marva Johnson has been named a finalist for the FAMU presidency by Florida Republicans who sit on the presidential search committee. Let me tell you a little bit about Marva Johnson. She is a career lobbyist with no experience in higher education administration. Literally, the same amount of higher education admin experience as you or I. Zero. None. Now, this is not just about her being a staunch Republican. Everyone has a right to their own political affiliations. But what we cannot allow is a hostile takeover by someone who is aligned with a party that has loudly and proudly espoused ideologies that attack diversity and diverse institutions, attack equitable economics, and attack inclusive principles. The exact pillars that institutions like FAMU were built upon. There is no place for that hateful and divisive rhetoric, not at the College of Love and Charity. As an active and proud alumni who has given money, who has given time, and who has given untold effort to the place that helped shape me, I refuse to sit idly by and watch others attempt to destroy the legacy that so many who came before us have built. Neither should you. Now, this process is moving fast. These 13 individuals make up the FAMU Board of Trustees. Possibly as soon as next week, they will vote on the next president. We have to act now. I want you to take a minute to do two things. First, screenshot this page right now and reach out to as many of these trustees as you can to let them know that FAMU is too important to be entrusted to the likes of Marva Johnson. Second, I want you to add your name to the FAMU Deserves Better petition created by FAMU students at change.org. And then stay tuned for more details on student-led protests taking place on campus in Tallahassee next Wednesday, May 14th. It's time to take a stand. Right now, Rattler Nation, FAMU deserves better. Let's go.
That's a really strong statement there, Candace. And here's the thing that we have been talking about. When you look at your prominent HBCUs, most of them are state schools located in red states. And so the reality is, folks like Governor Ron DeSantis, they have control over that. But even though Bethune-Cookman is a private institution, same thing has happened there. There's been a lot of criticism of them. You might remember, they were the ones who invited, as the keynote speaker, the commencement speaker, Betsy DeVos when she was education secretary. And man, that didn't go over well.
No, it did not. And, that's what you call advocacy. When you look at what Will Packer is doing, that's what you call informing people, giving them information that we are not seeing in the headlines, and letting them do their own research and finding out the truth for themselves. It's because he is telling the truth. It would be very difficult to have someone that has no experience run a university. She hasn't even been at a university. That's really impossible in the world of academia. You normally have to go through certain thresholds before you even get to a point to be considered to be a candidate in order to go through the process. It is a very, very tight process. But what I really like is what students are doing, because the students are the ones who are paying the tuition. The students are the ones who are getting out loans in order to go to this college. And it makes sense for them that they have the voice in order to make sure that things happen or don't happen. And having that power is really important to realize. So I'm just glad to see that that is happening, because they do have a say in the process, and they should have a say in the process if they don't. When they have the opportunity to hear all of these candidates, I do hope that the students will come and listen to the presentations, because they normally have that as a part of the interview process. You have to talk about your ideologies, how you see leadership, how you will manage the school, what are your plans for the school, and all of this is open for people to sit down and listen to. Again, when you are informed, you are a better advocate for everything. So they have the change.org petition, and hopefully, and I'm sure that that's going to be married to actual action and going out and listening to candidates that are in fact qualified.
Michael?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, once again, this is an example of how elections have consequences, because we've seen Governor Ron DeSantis, we've seen his attack on African-American history in the state of Florida. And a lot of people think that this is a further play to gain more control over education in the state of Florida. So here we're talking about a HBCU. And at the same time, I think it's really important. And I'm sure that many people are doing this, but I think it's also important for them to talk about the qualities that they want in the next Florida A&M president. And one thing that I wonder, with Marva Johnson being totally unqualified for this, are Republicans going to refer to her as a DEI hire now? She's totally unqualified to lead this institution. She hasn't led a college before, so she doesn't have a background in this. So I wonder if Republicans are going to refer to her as a DEI hire.
It's absolutely crazy what's going on. So we'll be following it, and again, we're going to be live streaming all of those interviews right here on the Black Star Network. I did reach out last night, called Marva Johnson. She was flying, and so I said, hey, you want to come on and talk on the show? Let me know. We'll definitely have you on. Folks, let's not talk about, it's going to now go to Missouri, where a state representative there has really been using her voice to call out Republicans on their actions. We previously posted her video dealing with the issue of reproductive rights. But I was perusing and came across this one from Rachel Prouty, where, man, she was all over these white Republicans in the legislature who all they care about are their rich donors. These are the same people who love taking over the police departments in Kansas City and St. Louis, but in the only two departments in the whole state where they want to control. And so it was a bill that would increase property tax credits and sales tax exemptions for diapers and feminine hygiene products. And she was having none of, all of a sudden, their concern for the less fortunate.
I don't even know where to start. I guess you can call me slap happy and that I don't have common sense, because I'm a very hard on this for several reasons. One, how dare y'all? I've been in here for 7 years, and now all of a sudden we care enough about people who own Social Security and poor folks with circuit breakers and pink taxes and everything else, when we've had ample opportunity to pass this year after year after year after year, but only until it's attached to something that's going to work for rich folks do we care enough about this. Gross. And then have the audacity to say, oh, if you don't like this, you don't care. Y'all are too strong. We've cared year after year after year after year. Welcome. Thanks for joining us on Caring. No, I don't care about the folks who got to go and buy boats. And you can put that on Facebook. I don't have any of those in my district. No one's sitting at any marble tables over in the 73rd talking about capital gains tax. They are talking about these eggs. They are talking about how they have to use the emergency room for their primary care physician. They do talk about that. They do talk about rolling toilet paper around their drawers because they can't afford tampons and pads. They do talk about that. And if you're offended by that, that's what they talk about in my district, and they're Missourians too. They talk about diapers and all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, we support those things too. Don't sit here and say we don't have common sense and don't care about these people. Don't even go there. Because I've heard a lot about people who are buying 2 and 3 houses. I'm not hearing enough about the woman who have to wrap a towel around her baby's backside to keep them clean and dry. Yeah, that's me sitting on the side gallery crocheting baby boots and socks. When you look at my MEC report, it's me clearing out my campaign donations to go drive Meals on Wheels every Monday. That's what they're talking about in my neck of the woods. And yeah, I stood here until the last 3 of us stood here because it was worth saying out loud. I'm not about to buck dance for the wealthy. I don't bootlick. Those poor people who work those 2 and 3 jobs, I thank the lady for Jackson for talking about me. Because I'm not going to be able to afford a house anytime soon as a millennial in this economy. She was talking about me. So no, it's not just our constituents back in our district that's telling you they need something. I'm telling you I need it now. I don't get to fly into session. I don't plug my car in. I have Walmart greeters in my family in their 60s and 70s. Y'all get to run for office. I have to borrow money to pay my taxes to sign that affidavit when we file for office so that I can run for office and not be lying on it. I have to borrow money for them fancy gold plates we have So I don't know what a capital gains is about. I don't know that feeling. But I do know what it feels like when your stomach touch your back. That's what they talk about in my district, in North St. Louis County, where their representative has to stand on this floor till our feet get raw. We talk about that. So I do appreciate the fact that it's 111 of you that are going to finally give my grandmother, my 84 and 3-day-old grandmother, the opportunity to get a break on her circuit breaker. Thank you. The same 84-year-old who had to work and get paid under the table for taxes. Well, she cleaned white folks' houses, they called her Mary, and she called them by Mr. and Miss. Those are the people I have in my district. I don't have the people who sit up and concern themselves with what boat they get to buy this year and what vacation they get to go on this year. They make bologna sandwiches and fold the bread in half so that they can feed their grandkids when they come from school because they can't afford child care. Those are the conversations we have in my district. So for all the monopoly men on the other side of campus twirling their rich mustaches and top hats talking about capital gains vacations and what their constituents talk about at their table, I love to be invited for some so I can cosplay wealth. But don't you dare sit here and talk about us on this side of the aisle who filed, the young man, the gentleman from St. Louis, the first bill he filed was to remove those taxes to help actual people. I can't even swim, as you all probably have guessed, by my skin color. I don't care nothing about no boat. Just pass the bill and stop trying to act like it's us over here when it's been you all the whole time. I'm grateful that these things are on this bill. I am. I'm voting on it, but I'm grateful it's here. That I can get some kind of rebate or some reprieve from tampons while I still have to use them before I have to go get diapers for my age. Thank you.
Folks, Representative Prouty joins us from Ferguson. Glad to have you on the show. What happened here? What was, how did this whole thing start? Because you went the hell off.
Thank you, Mr. Roland. I tend to do that. This is certainly the place, if you are a Black woman, Democrat in Missouri, this is certainly the place to go off. What happens is what always happens in our legislature. We are profoundly outnumbered. We are in the super minority such that if not a single Democrat came to work, the Republicans have enough to do the business of the state of Missouri without us. And we get to this point in session where they do a little bit of legislative candy. They'll sprinkle some things that Missourians actually want. They're actually asking for, they actually call for on a bill to make it amenable to the average Missourian. And then try to play it like, if you don't vote for this, then you're against these things. And we've been filing these bills for years, decades, in fact. And so, and I wasn't going to speak on this particular bill, but I got offended. I got offended by the commentary going around, and I had to call it out.
So what were they saying? Y'all don't care about regular folk?
That's exactly right. They weren't saying too much about the capital gains tax, the underlying bill, but they were certainly saying something about the amendments, which, by the way, I'm a member of the House for now. The House did not put the pink tax, to remove the tax from circuit breakers from seniors, or the pink tax to remove it off sanitary items. They did that in the Senate, and it was a deal made by Senate Democrats, or they were going to filibuster the bill completely. And so that's exactly right, Mr. Roland. That's exactly what they were saying, and they weren't about to call me a liar or play with me in my face. So.
You talk about, again, them having a supermajority. I take it that's due to partisan gerrymandering.
Without question. We are one of 12 states in Missouri that have term limits, for better or for worse. For worse here, because whereas we have term limits, lobbyists, the same lobbyists who push things like the removal of the capital gains tax, they don't. And so, yes, sir, absolutely partisan gerrymandering where Democrats are largely confined to Jackson County, where Kansas City in part is, in St. Louis City, the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County, where I represent.
Questions from a panel. Candace, go right ahead.
So I'm just curious, what has been the response from your constituents? I mean, it really makes a difference when people speak up on their behalf and ask for a sense of humanity from those people who they've elected to put into office.
Yes, ma'am. And I've been profoundly blessed in that here in Missouri, we have open primaries. And so, I represent North St. Louis County. Ferguson, where I actually live, is in my district. I have Kinloch, which is the oldest Black municipality in the state of Missouri. My constituents, Black, white, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. Not so much the Libertarians, because Libertarians tend to think taxation is theft unless they call the police. They certainly want them to come. Notwithstanding, they are like, yes. Absolutely. We are at a point where eggs here are about $7, $8, depending on where you live in St. Louis County. We have 88 municipalities. You can live across the street. Your sales tax and local tax could be upwards of 9%. Everybody wants a little bit more money in their pocket, and we're not asking for more taxes on anybody. We certainly want the wealthy to pay their fair share. And that's what I've been hearing the most from the commentary. It's been overwhelmingly positive and supportive from both sides of the aisle, frankly.
Michael.
Representative Prouty, thanks for speaking out, number one, because I know a week or so ago, we talked, two weeks ago, I think we talked about you as well on this show. Can you explain more about the circuit breaker tax credit? Exactly what I've been reading about that, but exactly what that is and how that will help your constituents. And is it possible maybe to get that put into a separate bill so that, it will pass?
At this point in session, no, sir. We have 1 week of our legislative session left in Missouri. We're considered a hybrid legislature, so we're not full-time, we're not part-time, we're considered hybrid. Today, we just finished the budget. And it is on separate bills, several separate bills filed by Democrats. And again, I've been profoundly blessed for 2 of the sessions of the 4 I've been in the legislature. I served as the only Democrat committee chairman in the state. At this point, I believe I'm the only Democrat that had a bill on calendar this session. And so putting it on there was kind of, again, it was a little bit of legislative candy. So it's always been on a separate bill. The bill is on its way to the governor's desk. But as for the circuit breakers, as far as in the 73rd district, about 51% of my district is Ferguson, Missouri, and it's overwhelmingly renters. I myself am a renter. And as a millennial, I'll have to keep your girl lifted in a believer's prayer that I'll ever be able to own a home in the today of things. But most of us are renters. For seniors, if they are a renter, then of course this won't impact them at all. It is for homeowners who are seniors with a lot of other caveats. You have to be current on taxes and a whole bunch of other different things that make this reprieve a little bit out of reach for a good chunk of my constituents.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then. Well, look, it's always important to have folk fighting a good fight, and you certainly are doing that. And so we appreciate those words, and hopefully it definitely got their attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roland. The remedy of an underserved community is to serve it. And so it's an honor and a privilege, and thank you for thinking about me.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, folks, going to a break. I will be back to talk about the arrest of Newark Mayor Ras Baraka by ICE agents. Unbelievable what happened. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the next A Balanced Life, we're talking soul and soul food. The kitchen is the heart of the home. So many memories that are there, the things we've learned, the recipes that we've tried to garner and to somewhat figure out how to cook ourselves. There's something about the kitchen and family and being at the table that brings us all joy. We're going to be joined by some amazing guests who are going to talk to us about how do we keep tradition alive and what are we doing for the culture.
The traditions and the gathering and the warmth and security, those memories are super important. And we have to, make sure that those continue to happen. So no matter how we get in the kitchen or around the food, I just want you there.
That's all next on A Balanced Life here on Black Star Network.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
In France, me and Tony, and accidentally went to the Louvre, right? But I had never been, and I saw a side door. And we got off the little bus. I said, well, come on, Tony, let's go to the Louvre. I mean, I'm just like, let's go to the Louvre, right?
We're here.
This black girl is at the door with this white guy, black African girl. And she says, oh my God, Vanessa Bell Calloway. And I'm like this, you know me? And come to find out we were at the wrong door. But she said, I'm gonna let you just go in here. But I was in Paris, France. And that shocked me. She knew my name, she knew me. She knew my movie. You know, so it's like, you just gotta, they say, build and they will come. Put it out there, people will find it, they will come.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, the Tuskegee Institute, now university, forever linked to the infamous and despicable syphilis experiments done on the poor rural farmers in Alabama and the Tuskegee Airmen, the famous heroes of World War II. But its history is about so much more. In his new book, The Tuskegee Student Uprising, author Brian Jones reveals a largely untold history, rich in radical activism and reform.
Suddenly the students are meeting these folks whose lifestyle is very different from theirs, very rural, but they're seeing them lose family members. People in their family disappear.
How Tuskegee became an epicenter for Black power. An amazing history lesson on the Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
I'm Russell L. Honoré, Lieutenant General, United States Army, retired, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Been frozen out.
Facing an extinction level event.
We don't fight this fight right now, you're not going to have black owned. Folks, we often talk about black wealth and how, because of certain actions, how we lose black wealth. When you look at sports, when you look at athletes and they get huge contracts and just begin to spend crazy amounts of money on jewelry and cars and then end up 6, 7, 8 baby mamas and having kids and child support. And then all of a sudden, when you look at, NFL players 3 to 5 years after they retire, many of them are filing for bankruptcy. And it's crazy. But then when you look at the music industry, this isn't just a recent phenomenon. You can go back even further, where you can look at how Sam Cooke lost his publishing because he was swindled out of it by a white businessman. And then when Sam Cooke dies, but right before that, he realizes that he actually doesn't own his company. When you look at James Brown, when you look at other artists, they've had to sue to get their royalties. Then you go even further. You look at Luther Campbell, how he lost his company, where he brought in a trusted individual who was cooking the books. That individual ends up getting control of his music empire. This goes on and on and on. And if there's any area that, frankly, is the most gangster, the most atrocious when it comes to ripping off artists, it's the music industry. Well, the law, though, has also been changed, allowing artists to get their copyrights back. But the problem is, too many people aren't actually paying attention to the business of the business. They're fixated on the entertaining part. Well, Isaac Hayes III, he's the son of Isaac Hayes, has been dropping these videos on social media, trying to educate artists on how to regain their publishing, regain their copyright. And the laws have been changed, and a lot of people don't understand. And so you see these videos on social media of artists complaining about not owning their masters and not owning their publishing without realizing that there are ways to get those things back. Isaac, of course, founder of Fanbase, joins us right now. So Isaac, you've been dropping these videos, and you posted something recently where you said to any artist, hey, DM me, I can walk y'all through this. Has that been happening? Because when you dropped the first video, I actually sent it to a very prominent rapper, and he said, brother, I appreciate this. I'm already aware. We're already on this. But thanks for caring about it enough to send it to me. What has been the response from folks since you've been doing this?
Well, I won't name the names, but let's just say some very iconic R&B and hip-hop artists have been reaching out, and we're unaware of the process of doing reversions and terminating your copyright. So I'm glad to help. And I think it's the most important opportunity to regain Black wealth, especially for music artists ever, because this is billions of dollars worth of copyrights and masters.
So you said reversion. So, okay, so explain to us, so artist signs a contract, and who's owning the music? And people don't understand. An artist can perform a song, but who produces the song, who writes the song, who owns publishing? Owning publishing is different from owning masters. And so explain that.
Yeah, so when you sign a deal with a record company, the record company owns your masters, which is basically the 2-track recording of whatever the song is. So whatever the version of your record is, the record company owns that for a period of time. Before 1972, you could never get your masters back. After 1972, you could get them back after 35 years. When it comes to publishing, when you're a songwriter or a rapper and you write a song, typically you've done a deal with the publishing company that advances you money for half of the income and control of the actual copyright. Well, there's a law that pre-1978, you could terminate those rights after 56 years. And then post-78, you could terminate those rights after 35 years. So if you realize it's 2025, that means 1990 is really the dawn of really when hip hop went commercial. So you got Hammer, you got Bell Biv DeVoe, LL Cool J, all these rappers. And there's a window for them to terminate their rights and get their masters and their publishing back right now. And if you don't do it in a certain amount of time, you miss the window, and those publishers and those record companies own your copyright forever. You never get it back.
All right, so, and again, so when we talk about this window, how long is the window? And what is that process?
So the window is about 10 years before the copyrights are due back. So you can file them as early as 10 years before. So I've done this already successfully with my father's publishing catalog, which is from 1963 to 1969. So songs like Hold On, I'm Coming, Soul Man, we've terminated. We've done reversions on those copyrights, and those copyrights are now owned by my family.
And you literally were going through the law, we're going, okay, this song, this is the year, expires 2027. This song, you were going through that.
Yeah, so those songs, so now these new records, we just filed terminations on Isaac Hayes, the artist. So that's everything from Ike's Mood to Shaft to Do Your Thing, the Truck Turner soundtrack, Joy, all these records. So all these records will be coming back to my family in the next 2 years, but we have to file those notices within a particular window. And you can't, if you miss 2 years after, then you lose the ability to actually terminate forever. So you got about a 13-year window to file. But I'm telling everybody to do this now.
And man, you lose forever.
Yes.
Unless the law has changed.
No, you lose the copyright forever because you had your shot to get it back. Now, typically what happens is when you do reversions, there's one of two things that happen. Now that you get your copyrights back, publishers will come along and ask you to buy those copyrights. And there's some really, really lucrative deals to sell those copyrights again. So once you get them back, people are going to approach you about buying them, which is not really a bad idea for some artists. Like, so if you're a living artist, I say this, if you're a living rapper artist, I can tell you there's a particular rapper that was very, very popular in the early 2000s that just sold his catalog for $50 million. And that's great because that $50 million probably would have taken him 30 years to get over time. So imagine getting $50 million up front. And then if you can manage that money, invest, do things like that. Plus, this artist is still young enough to go on tour and perform and make money. In my dad's case, he's no longer here. So I never wanted to sell his copyrights just for a flat out check. So what I did is an administration deal or a co-pub deal where we get an advance and then someone goes and collects that money for us, but we still own the copyright and control where it goes and what we charge and all those types of things.
And again, what people don't understand is how the music game has changed. Now, you're talking about ringtones, you're talking about movies, you're talking commercials, you're talking all sorts of things. And no one knows how a song, somebody may hear it and then they may decide to put it in something. I mean, I was watching Jimmy Jam was talking about how when they did Rhythm Nation, how they literally were in a restaurant and they heard a Sly Stone song, and there was this one piece. He was like, "That's it, let's go." And then when they played it for Janet Jackson, she was like, "That's Rhythm Nation." Like that small part of a Sly Stone song set up that entire album, and she feasted off of that. His estate or whoever owned the publishing did as well. That's the stuff that people don't understand. I mean, I probably said the last 3 or 4 years, I swear Nina Simone's music has exploded in numerous movies. I'll be watching a movie and I'm like, I mean, it's like all of a sudden her music is everywhere in all sorts of movies.
Well, think about this. Think about probably one of the biggest songs ever, which is Shaboozie's record, right? And that his song, that country record that he did, Tipsy.
Yep.
He took all the lyrics from Jaquan Tipsy. So Jaquan has made more money off Shaboozie's record than he did his original record. And if he never sold his publishing or his writer shares, he's made millions of dollars off that one song. And with streaming and licensing, I've seen these deals. We've licensed songs like Hold On, I'm Coming for commercials for $400,000 just for 30 seconds of a commercial, just for one one particular license. And so there's millions and millions of dollars available. And we're entering in that age where you're watching TV and you're starting to hear all the rap songs that are in commercials now and in movies. Those deals, those licenses are worth $500,000, $400,000, $300,000 per side. So if you own the master, $300,000. If you own the publishing, $300,000. So there's a lot of money coming back. And I implore artists and hip hop artists and R&B artists to go and make sure that they're terminating their publishing. Anybody out there that does not know how to do this, that's in the entertainment industry, don't be afraid, don't be shy, because I've had some icons reach out and really did not know. I tell people to DM me on social media, hit me on Instagram, wherever you can find me, and I'll teach you how to do this, and I'll direct you to the person that I use that I've been able to successfully terminate. Over right now, I want to say we're over 400 songs. We have another 1,700 to go because you got to remember, Isaac Hayes was sampled in a lot of rap records, and we're going to terminate the publishing on those rap records as well.
Wow.
So, those records are coming back.
And I mean, look, I remember Sir Mix-a-Lot did an interview where he talked about the amount of money he made off of just ringtones for Baby Got Back was insane. He said just millions and millions of dollars. But this is the part where I'm always talking about the business of the business. That too many of us don't focus on. Let me go to my panel for questions. Candace, you're an attorney, and my God, I wish, and we still see today, these artists would hire somebody who has massive experience in recording contracts. So I'm sick and tired of hearing, there's no reason an artist today should be sounding like Motown artists or other artists did back in the day, but I ain't know, and they sign these awful 360 deals. It's insane. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is insane, but the more you know, as they say, right? So when we talk about this law, it's a good reminder just to put out there to people that we're talking about music, but we're also talking about literary works, we're talking about musical works, we're talking about films, we're talking about software. So when we talk about the copyright law and terminating these particular copyrights, which, by the way, this was done so that people who got into deals that were not too lucrative and didn't understand their value in the future, they could renegotiate. But like Isaac said, you got to get on that time. It's like a statute of limitations, right? You can only file a lawsuit if it's within the statute of limitations. And the key is getting in there and making sure you know what to do after. The after is important because when we think about the copyright ownerships that we have, it's like a car. You can lease it, you can sell it, you can give it away. Not a good idea, but there are many things that you can do with it. But Isaac, I just want to thank you because a lot of people, they just don't know. And because there is a clock that is ticking, you caught a lot of people who would have never known and would have been on the other side saying, how was I supposed to know? It's one of those things that we've been talking about all night. You have to get out there and inform yourself. But if not, Isaac, there are people like you who are doing it. So thank you very much for that.
We're talking billions of dollars.
Billions. I mean, I'm not gonna be shy. You know, what made me bring this subject back again is the deal that Ryan Coogler did for Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
He has reversion rights to his film after 25 years. He negotiated those reversion rights. It's very, very similar to music. And that's what made me bring it back up, because I'm like, I need to let these artists know that you can get your music is up right now after 35 years. You can get all these hip hop artists can get their songs back starting from 1990 all the way over the next 2 years, 1990 to 2000. You can file your termination notices right now to get your copyrights back.
Michael.
All right. This is a very timely conversation. And I know when the California Reparations Task Force, when they released their report back in 2023, they laid out 12 harms that African Americans have suffered in this country. And number 8 was control over creative, cultural, and intellectual life, and how royalties have been stolen from us. So one thing, I wanted you to talk about this for a minute. Late at night, when we see the commercials for Time Life and we see all those R&B songs, classics from the 70s and things like this, a lot of that music is highly popular and people are still making money off of it. But many of those artists, we don't own that music, or their children, their next generation don't own that music. Can you reiterate and talk about maybe how the son or grandson can try to gain back control of their grandparents' music that they were beaten out of?
Yeah, this is very personal for me because, my father lost those rights to his music in 1974, and they were sold at auction to 2 white gentlemen for $50,000 in the early 80s, about 4 years before sampling took off.
Hold on. Wait. You said your dad's publishing was sold off to 2 white guys for $50,000.
Yep, in an auction that he did not know about in like 83 or 84.
Wow.
And those men that bought those rights went on to receive more than $60-70 million, because you got to think Isaac Hayes' music was sampled by Public Enemy, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Wu-Tang Clan, Tupac, Biggie, Jay-Z, like to name a few. And so for the last 56 years, we've never been able to claim those copyrights back. Even as recent as Glorilla, right? Here's the crazy thing. Glorilla has a song called Let Her Cook. That samples Ike's Mood 1. I played that the other day. I get that record back. Our family gets that record back in 2027. So Glorilla would have made that song 2 years from now. We would get all the money from that record, not the people that still get that money until these next 2 years from my dad's publishing. So it's very personal to me. It's why I'm so big in the creator space and ownership of IP. So what you have to do is, number one, you have to find an attorney or a paralegal. Again, I tell people to DM me. There's a phenomenal woman by the name of Liz Garner. Liz Garner has done my terminations for years. I started this process back in 2014 with my father. So Liz Garner is the one that has done the first batch of terminations, and we're working on the second and third now. And so I tell everybody to reach out myself. I can connect you with Liz. She can start that process for you, but she's already done, deals with Smokey Robinson. She's helped a lot of entertainers get their copyrights back. She worked with a phenomenal woman by the name of Jeannie Mason, who I started with, who has since passed away. But Jeannie Mason is the one that changed the Copyright Act from 56 years to 35 years. So these are individuals that champion artists' rights and creators' rights. And so I'm happy to work with them, and I'm happy to tell as many songwriters, as many artists to terminate their masters in publishing as possible.
So I'm just curious. So how was your dad's publishing sold in an auction that he didn't know?
So initially, my father lost the rights to his music in 74 because Stax filed for bankruptcy, and my father took a loan from Union Planters Bank. What happens typically when someone gets a loan is that if you default on that loan, they'll garnish the income stream.
Right.
So let's say whatever your music makes, we'll keep taking that money, and it won't go to you, it'll go to us, so we pay back.
Right.
That's not what happened with my father. They actually took the right and the ownership of the actual IP, which had never really been done before. Then that was done in 74. In 83, Union Planters wanted to auction that off to sell the asset, right? Because it wasn't making a lot of money because they didn't see sampling coming.
Right.
And So people weren't buying the records. So there was an auction held, and my father was not notified, and 2 gentlemen showed up, and they bid for $50,000 for the publishing, and they got it.
How much was that original loan?
$2 million. But Stax Records filed for bankruptcy owing my dad $14 million. So imagine Universal saying, telling an artist they don't have, $65 million in 2025 that they're owed. That's really started this whole process with my dad. I always say that's my generational trauma, seeing my father lose his creative rights. And imagine, other people that don't look like you go to the mailbox for the last, 35, 40 years and take those checks and put their kids through college and buy their kids houses and invest in properties and do all these things when none of my brothers and sisters, none of my dad's ex-wives, none of his grandchildren ever got to be able to do that. But that's why copyright law, I'm so passionate about this, because it's our opportunity to claim what is ours.
Well, that's the case for, again, so many folks. And again, you're right. It's folk who don't look like us who are feasting off of the talent. And I say this all the time, and some people get mad. I don't really care if they do. I keep saying that, frankly, in this country, and this is what I really hate, and I need people to really listen. So they just had the Met Gala, and I saw this story where Usher paid $350,000 for a table, but had to seek permission from Anna Wintour, who he got to seat at his own table. And she said no to some people, and not only that, she has control over even what the folks wear. And I sat there and I said, you know what? I ain't spending $350,000 of my own money and having somebody else telling me who the hell I can and cannot invite, and then what I can and cannot wear, to a gala that was celebrating Black culture. And that was one person, I'm not gonna name this person, but they posted on their social media, we doing this for the culture. And Isaac, I'll be honest, I hate that phrase. I hate that phrase because when I hear the phrase, yo, we doing it for the culture, my problem is we keep giving away the culture. And so we're just so happy that we performed and that we made the art. Yo, we doing it for the culture. We're doing it for the culture. They doing it for the money. We doing it for the culture. And I keep saying I'm tired of us being the show in show business and them being the business in show business. And we've got to get artists to understand, yo, you can love the music. You can want to be on the stage, but trust me, somebody else is getting paid. And so we better understand the business of the business, because it's literally billions of dollars that Black people, we have made more white executives richer. Let's be real clear. We know from the documentary, Jimmy Iovine, he was about to file the day before Suge walked in there, they about to file bankruptcy. And the billions made. And so that's what we got to understand. Let's stop making other folk billions and make our folk billions. Final comment.
Well, let me say this, because I think it's really important. Black culture is the most valuable thing on planet Earth. I'm telling you right now, it's more valuable than gold, more valuable than diamonds. It's more valuable than even some of the software and technology we use, because most of these things are powered by Black culture. And the problem about saying doing it for the culture, it doesn't matter if you don't own the culture.
That's right.
Ownership should be the mainstay of owning, your IP and your intellectual property. And I say that all the time, like Black culture is the vibranium of Earth right now. And it's like liquid. I always say it's like water. It's like if when you pour Black culture into a tennis shoe, you get a Jordan. When you pour Black culture into a record label, you get all these phenomenal rappers. When you pour Black culture into the sports industry, you get LeBron James. You get all these amazing athletes. When you pour Black culture into a smartphone, you get TikTok, you get Instagram. The problem is all these things that we're pouring into are infrastructures that we do not own. And so that's why I'm so big. My journey from music to technology was all about ownership, all about we need to own the apps, we need to own our IP, we need to own our copyrights. So this is just an extension of my father's legacy and what I'm doing and telling people about owning intellectual property, investing in tech startups that we can own. That's the biggest thing. Technology is the fastest growing asset and most valuable asset on earth right now, but we're not owning what we need to own to be able to really build true generational wealth at this time. So own record labels, own apps, own software, own infrastructures that you can leverage Black culture. And think about the Black culture, the apps and the infrastructures that do not work without Black culture. And it is like social media absolutely does not function or work without Black culture. It does not. And so that should give anybody a signal that those are the spaces that we need to have ownership in, as opposed to being happy to get views and likes and stuff like that and become famous and maybe make a buck. So owning infrastructure and copyrights are extremely important.
All right. Isaac Hayes III, first of all, how much money have y'all raised as part of the Series A raised for Fanbase? What's the status?
Ooh, we're almost at 12 million raised. The raise closes at 17 million. So I tell everybody, listen, invest in Fanbase, right? Startengine.com/Fanbase. I want you guys to invest, own a piece of the creator economy. The minimum to invest is $399. This isn't a donation. This isn't GoFundMe. This is actual stock in a technology company, which is going to use music, which is going to use content creators, which is going to use athletes. But these individuals will monetize and actually own the infrastructure of the apps they use. That's why this is so important.
All right. Isaac Hayes III, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
Folks, going to a break. We come back. We're going to talk about the arrest of Newark Mayor Ras Baraka. Just unbelievably shameful. Right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. The Tuskegee Institute, now university, forever linked to the infamous and despicable syphilis experiments done on the poor rural farmers in Alabama, and the Tuskegee Airmen, the famous heroes of World War II. But its history is about so much more. In his new book, The Tuskegee Student Uprising, author Brian Jones reveals a largely untold history, rich in radical activism and reform.
Suddenly the students are meeting these folks whose lifestyle is very different from theirs, very rural, but they're seeing them lose family members. People in their family disappear.
How Tuskegee became an epicenter for Black power. An amazing history lesson on the Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change.
Let's talk. Vote blue no matter who.
We need political imagination more than ever, and unfortunately, some people on the Democratic side really are discouraging that. We're going to dig into all of it.
The Democratic Party needs to remember who they are and who they are responsible to.
This is On the Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
How you doing? My name is Mark Carey, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We're doing an interview, motherfucker.
Folks, lots of drama today in New Jersey as Newark Mayor Ras Baraka was arrested at an ICE detention facility. Pull the audio up.
I'm not letting you cannot push. You cannot push. You cannot push. You want Congressman, get over her. Member of Congress, come on, brown shirt. Use her. Thank you.
Now, they were there protesting this facility, claiming that it was open illegally and in violation of local ordinances. A number of people said that Congresswoman Bonnie Coleman Johnson, matter of fact, y'all call her so we can get her on the phone, was roughed up in the process. This is Robert Menendez Jr., of course, the son of the disgraced United States senator, who's now a member of Congress, who was talking about what took place. Listen.
I can't begin to describe what happened here today. It started as part of our core functions as members of Congress to conduct oversight of ICE and privately run detention centers, where we waited patiently for over an hour and a half. Just waited to do what we've done together at Elizabeth Detention Center. We waited. And then we only saw action taking place outside where we were waiting, not knowing what was happening. We walked out to see what was going on. We saw Mayor Baraka out here by himself, mayor of the largest city in New Jersey, waiting for us to come back. ICE brought to meet the mayor of Newark over 20 armed individuals. 20 armed individuals to confront the mayor of Newark, along with 3 members of Congress. It was an act of intimidation. It was an act of intimidation not just to the mayor, not just to us, but to everyone watching. We know what ICE has been doing in our communities. We know that the president lied and this administration lies every day when they're saying they're going after criminals. It is not true. They feel no weight of the law. They feel no restraint on what they should be doing. And that was shown in broad daylight today when they not just arrested the mayor of Newark, but when they put their hands on 2 members of Congress who are standing behind me. How is this acceptable to anyone in this country? How is this acceptable? I fight along with these 2 incredible women every day for the people of New Jersey. We fight for the country that we should be. What we saw today is the country that we live in under Donald Trump and his Department of Homeland Security, under his ICE, does not reflect who we are as a country. It reflects everything wrong with the moment that we're in. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable and should shake every American to the core, to their core, to our collective core, that this happened today here in the city of Newark, the most inclusive city in New Jersey, with the mayor who represents the city, with the congresswoman who represents the city, and with Bonnie Watson Coleman, who's fought for the people of New Jersey her entire distinguished career. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable.
This is the reality of what we're living in. This is who these thugs are. And look, this reminds me of going back to Jim Crow days, folks, of Sheriff Jim Clark, of course, who was the head of the state police in Selma. This is who that was. You got Sheriff Jim Clark, who had no problem cracking skulls and beating black protesters. Then you got Bull Connor, of course, who was there, that absolute racist in Birmingham as well. That's who the Trump administration is. We said this earlier. They do not care about the law. They don't care about any of this. All they care about is power. And so that's what we're dealing with. Candace, there is no doubt that Donald Trump, Tom Homan, Stephen Miller, and all of these thugs today, they are nothing more than, they are the 21st century version of Jim Clark and Bull Connor.
And listen, we see the seeds that they've been planting growing. Why? Because if you take a look at some of the headlines say that they were protesting, that they stormed the facility. And that's why Trump, that's why the executive branch wants to take control of the media, because then they are created a narrative in order for them to act.
This is the statement from DHS. Today, as a bus of detainees were entering the security gate of Delaney Hall Detention Center, a group of protesters, including 2 members of Congress, stormed the gate and broke into the detention facility. The members, Robert Menendez Jr. and Bonnie Watson Coleman, and multiple protesters are holed up in a guard shack, the first security checkpoint. These members of Congress storming into the detention facility goes beyond bizarre political stunt and puts the safety of our law enforcement agents and the detainees at risk. Members of Congress are not above the law and cannot illegally break into detention facilities. Had these members requested a tour, we would have facilitated a tour of the facility. This is an evolving situation. We all know that's a lie, Candace, because we've had members of Congress trying to tour numerous other facilities all across the country, and Trump's people have like, nah, y'all ain't coming in.
That's right. And so listen, if you look at the video, Roz is outside. All right. He is outside. The mayor is outside of the gate. He hasn't even gotten in. Like Menendez was saying, we were meeting him and that had not happened. We did not know what was going on the other side. The other thing is that this is part of the process. They have congressional oversight to make sure that if you're building a new facility that has 1,000 beds, that you have the right permits. So it's within their purview. It's within their right. In fact, it's their responsibility to be there to make sure that they are actually doing what they're supposed to do, which they were not. Now, if you look at it, too, why was he the only one that was arrested? I mean, if you think about him running for governor, I would imagine that that has something to do with it. This is when you don't want too much power to go unchecked. I think that that is what is happening. Otherwise, they would have arrested everybody there. They just arrested the mayor. And quite frankly, there was no reason for it. He hadn't even made it to the facility itself and crossed the gate. So all of this is just smoke and mirrors. All of this is just a way for them to do what they want to do, distort the headlines, distort the narrative, and put out what they want. And if you look at the video, there was no action. Nobody was fighting back. There was no protest. There was no anything. It was just a matter of, why are all these people on me? For no reason at all. They were creating a reason in order to make it what we are looking at today, to make it look like there was a problem when there was not. There was no problem at all. As you said, this has been happening across the country because Trump is trying to increase the number of beds that are out there in order to bring more people in. This specific facility is very important because it's right near the Newark airport. So you have a direct line for people to come and go, all right, when they come in to send them out. So it's just a very important location. It's a big city, and it's Ras Baraka, and he is running for governor. They don't like that.
Michael?
Yeah, you know, Roland, this whole thing is very disturbing. Number one, you know, I posted about this soon after it happened. I read the article from NBC News, and Alina Habba, who's one of Donald Trump's former defense attorneys. She's the interim U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey. And she said that Ras Baraka has chosen to disregard the law, and they say that nobody's above the law, things like that, as we heard in the clip. But isn't Donald Trump in violation, and the Trump administration and Homeland Security, aren't they in violation of U.S. Supreme Court decision 9-0?
Yep.
With Kilmar Braco Garcia? Okay, it's supposed to be returned. They're in constant violation of the law, but then they want to say that no one is above the law, and they want to use the power of government to attack and intimidate. And when we look at this Delaney Hall, when we look at this detention center, according to Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, she said that this detention center was open without permission from the city of Newark, New Jersey, and is in violation of local ordinances. Now, this is a for-profit prison. It's important for people to understand that Donald Trump in his first administration and in the second administration fully supports for-profit prisons, and the stock prices of the for-profit prisons have increased since he's been back in office. Of course, they decreased under the Biden administration, which is why the for-profit prisons donated to Trump's campaign and the transition. It's the first term as well as the second term.
Yep. Well, that's how they're gonna roll. So again, folks, nonviolent resistance is critically important. Hey, update: Black veteran Marlon Paris faced a judge today in his deportation case. The judge ruled that removal proceedings will move forward for the Iraq veteran who has been in custody since January. Paris, the son of a naturalized citizen, came to the U.S. in 1997 from Trinidad and Tobago. He joined the Army in 2001, served for 6 years, and deployed 3 times to Iraq. In 2007, Paris was discharged from the Army, according to his wife, Tanisha, who we had on the show yesterday, he was diagnosed with PTSD and brain trauma. And again, this is what I did last night after they told me that Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth was helping them more than her Arizona delegation. I sent a tweet out to Senator Mark Kelly and Senator Ruben Gallego. Well, last night, Gallego's office reached out to my producer. They say that Duckworth's office specializes in cases like this and sent the statement. Our office has been in contact with Mr. Paris's attorney, family, state agencies, and other congressional offices regarding his case. Additionally, our office has reached out to Immigration and Customs Enforcement regarding Mr. Paris's case. Now, my producer, Carol, invited Gallego to come on the show. They told her that, quote, they do not get into the habit of doing interviews about such cases. Okay, don't let me see you show up on somebody else's network talking about this stuff. Last night, the Paris GoFundMe was just over $1,600. Tonight, this is what the update is right here. If y'all can pull it up of the GoFundMe so we can actually see what the amount is. I think they were trying to raise like $15,000, if I believe. And so there's a GoFundMe again for the Paris family. And so please go check that out. And we would love for y'all to be able to do that. Now, while the U.S. is trying to deport veterans, Donald Trump is importing white folks. That's right. A group of 54 white South Afrikaners who are descendants of Dutch colonists, the people who led apartheid in South Africa. Donald Trump wants to bring them into the United States. They are expected to land in the U.S. on Monday, and reports say that they are all set up with housing, groceries, phones, clothes, and all the essential items when they will need in the first 90 days in this country. Here's a look at the protests where several hundred white South Africans protested outside the U.S. Embassy in South Africa in March, claiming they were victims of racism by their government. Donald Trump issued an executive order in February directing officials to prioritize the, quote, resettlement for Afrikaners, citing what he called government-sponsored race-based discrimination in post-apartheid South Africa, which is bullshit. Thousands of refugees from conflict zone and humanitarian crisis remain in limbo in the United States, yet, he's quickly processing these white Afrikaners, and they have moved at an unusually rapid pace, 3 months compared to the typical 18 to 24-month wait. Boy, must be something to be white and an Afrikaner. And Donald Trump says, yeah, bring them in. We made it clear, Michael, he doesn't want black people. He doesn't want black immigrants. He wants white immigrants in America.
Absolutely. This goes back to his first administration when he called people from Haiti, called Haiti S-hole country. He said, why can't we bring in more immigrants from places like Norway? And we all, at the very same time that he's welcoming these white Afrikaners, these South Afrikaners, you have the Trump administration trying to take away the temporary protective status from more than 500,000 immigrants coming from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Okay, at the very same time. So this all plays into white grievance, and this was something that was key in Donald Trump's the first term, as well as the second term, white grievance, and also saying that white people are the real victims of racism. We see that his civil rights division has changed their purpose, okay, and really changed what they're going after. And we see hundreds of attorneys in the civil rights division are leaving, over 100. And this all deals with 2043 and the fear, the browning of America.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, Candace, that's why they want. It's why they want to give birth inducements. They want more white people. This is about white people. They didn't want the Haitian immigrants in Springfield. They want white people.
Right. And when you look at this, it's very clear that that is what they want, or else it would be happening, as you said, with other people who are black and brown. The other thing to remember about this is that this particular law that they are running from, that is giving back land to people who it was taken away from, they've been working on it for a long time, and it has just been formally put into place. So this is what they feel threatened by. But when you look at this and we think about what a refugee actually is, someone who generally, the way we have received them, leaves a war-torn country, trying to escape persecution and war and violence. Yes, many times race plays a part in it, but not this type of race issue that they're talking about. This isn't the type of thing that the United States normally even deals with or tries to shake hands with. And it's an impossible feat to not think about the irony of this, that this is taking place in South Africa when we know the history of apartheid there. So there are a lot of corrective measures that would have had to take place. It's also interesting to know that we are talking about bringing in Afrikaners from South Africa when we haven't even dealt with the land rights of black farmers, black peoples in America whose land was taken away from them. Yep. Yet we're so concerned about what's going on in other countries and giving them, as you said, a place to stay and food and warmth and clothing in order to make their way here to America. It just doesn't make any sense. But Trump is good at that. He's good at having people look at all this nonsensical stuff and getting them caught up in something totally different when he's doing other things that are going on and we don't even know about.
Oh, it makes sense because Donald Trump wants to make America white again. He wants to keep it white. That's what this is all about. Folks, let's go to Texas. Imagine sending your child off to college, then you get a phone call from a sheriff's department saying your child is dead. And no one can give you a clear answer on what the hell happened. That's the nightmare of the family of 20-year-old Erskine Charles Jenkins. The psychology major at Texas Tech University was killed on November 23rd by a Lubbock County Sheriff's deputy who, according to reports, was holding a woman hostage. His mother, Sharon Jenkins, does not believe what the authorities say about her son. She joins us now from Shenandoah, Texas. Sharon, first of all, sorry for the loss of your son, and we have to do these stories, but you get a phone call and they said that your son was holding a woman hostage?
No, initially, when I got the phone call, the detective said, there's been a horrible accident, and your son was fatally wounded, which I didn't even understand. I was like, okay, I can, get a flight and get there. I'm thinking he's in a car accident or something. And then he said, no, ma'am, he's dead. And, then it was just like I went outside of myself, I think. But he said he couldn't give me any details and that he would have someone else to call me back. The next person that called me was a Texas Ranger. And I asked him what happened, and he said there was a party and there was alcohol and possibly drugs at the party, and we evacuated the party, and everyone evacuated, and your son didn't listen, and the police shot him. That's what he said.
So he said they evacuated, but your son didn't listen.
Yeah.
Did they say that your son's threatened the cops, tried to lunge at them? I mean, did they give any understanding? Was this cop wearing a body cam? Were there any folks at this so-called party? I mean, listen, young folk today, they videotape everything. So is there footage?
I haven't seen any of that. We asked for all of that, but I haven't seen any of it. They video, they post everything, but there's been nothing posted. Everybody's silent.
Well, that's weird because young people today record everything. Has your family, has your attorney been in contact with the DA's office, with the police department to try to get information?
We have. He has. There's been several public information requests that have been sent in, and everything that comes back has been redacted. I think is the proper way to pronounce it, and that it's just an open investigation. So
who's leading the investigation? The Sheriff's Department or the Texas Rangers?
The Texas Ranger. And then I found out there was no investigation as to what could have provoked whatever incident happened in the house. There's no investigation as far as that. So I don't know what happened to my son prior to the police killing him.
Have you talked to your state rep, your state senate, to get their involvement?
I've called several. At first, I couldn't get in touch with any of my state representatives in the Woodlands area. So I reached out to Senator Boris Miles, and he is in the process of trying to assist me. And then finally, I was put in contact with my state senator and by a close acquaintance. And I don't know.
So
no one has given me anything.
So your state senator hasn't assisted in any way?
His office did call, and they said that they are working on it. So,
but you haven't heard from the state senator?
Not as of yet. He did send me a text, but I don't have any information.
This is have y'all tried to reach out to any students first of all, okay, was there actually a party, or is this what they're simply telling you? Have you talked to any of your son's friends? Was he in a fraternity? Has any of them communicated to y'all that they were with him that night? Anything?
So the people who were actually at the party, they have not communicated with us at all. But some of my son's friends who weren't at the party have said that there was supposed to be a Friendsgiving. So my son was there to apparently attend the Friendsgiving. The only person who was really his friend wasn't even planning to go to the party. And I don't know, once my son got back to the house after trying to go and pick up this particular friend, no one heard from him again.
And was this on campus? Was it off campus?
It was actually in Woodford, Texas, off campus.
Has the university tried to help you? Because I take
no, not at all.
Was this a party of Texas Tech students, or was it Texas Tech students and the community folk?
I understand that there were some people that were there from the community and some Tech students. That's my understanding. But like I said, I don't have anything except for vileness that the Texas Ranger has spurred at us. But other than that.
So here we are 6 months later, and you literally don't know what the hell happened that night.
literally.
Have they said that? Did the officer have a body camera on?
They said all of the officers had body cam footage, but they only showed us a summary of events, which, you know, he wants me to believe that that's unedited footage, but anyone with any knowledge knows the summary is that you are trying to make me believe the point that you're trying to make. That's not facts. I want to see unedited body cam footage.
Absolutely. That is crazy. Candace?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking that all this information is so good for people who are out there, especially attorneys, who I am sure are listening, and someone is going to come to your aid because there's so many unanswered questions and information that you need. I'm so sorry for your loss and hate that you have to be in this position, but the information that you have and that you're sharing is just so important. So I'm glad to hear, because someone is going to take up the cause for you. That's what I predict. And I just hope that for you, that you are able to get the information that you get. And thank you for sharing, because this is really important, so that other people who are in this situation can do the same thing, because we need this information in order to move on and collectively understand what's happening there, especially with our young Black men.
Yes, thank you.
Michael?
First, you know, I want to say I'm very sorry for your loss. And, you know, this sounds senseless. But my question I wanted to pose is, I know at the beginning of this conversation and reading about this, the police tried to make it seem like your son created a hostage situation, but then you found out, okay, that's not true. All right. So how are they saying that things escalated to where he's actually killed? They were told to come out of the party or something like that. How are they saying things escalated?
Honestly, they haven't really said much to us. The information that we've gathered, we've had to gather and pay for ourselves. And from what we've gathered, my son was in need of medical attention when the police arrived, and he was murdered instead.
Who is your attorney?
His name is Rick Eckerson.
Rick Eckerson, and he's out of
the Woodlands, Texas.
The Woodlands. All right. So I would love for my producer to be able to reach out to him. Again, I know I'm born and raised in Houston. I know State Senator Boris Miles well. He's my fraternity brother. You also have State Senator Royce West, who is in Dallas. Who is your state senator?
Is Senator Brendan Creighton.
Brendan Creighton. All right. So, you know, I would love to, we're going to reach out to them as well to find out, because again, you know, 6 months is a long time. If they have, I mean, normally
we don't even know the officer's name.
And normally what happens, and unfortunately, I hate to have to say this, I mean, we've done way too many of these stories. And the reality is this here, based upon our experience, Candace, you know this as well, Michael too, that if there's body cam footage that shows your son charged them, had a weapon, they get that body cam footage out real fast. And when something was, when it's 6 months and you still don't have a lot of answers, that speaks volumes as well. Has your attorney talked to, okay, so the Texas Rangers are investigating. What is the district attorney's office in Lubbock County doing?
Nothing. I went there, and they were very offended that I even showed up, it appeared, because they don't have an investigation. They should be investigating what happened to my son prior to the officers arriving.
Right.
They don't know if he was trying to defend himself. They haven't investigated anything. They just said, oh, he's dead. They had a secret grand jury, no billed the officer, and that's that. And I'm just supposed to accept it. But I'm not going to take that. I'm not taking that.
Absolutely. Well, your son, what class, what was his classification? Sophomore, junior?
Sophomore.
Sophomore, majoring in what?
Psychology. And if they had did any kind of investigation, my son is a beautiful person. He's a beautiful person. They could have went and asked professors, advisors. They didn't even try to find anything out about him. They just wanted to build this narrative like he was some thug, and that's a lie. And tell him like he's from a impoverished home. That's a lie. Just liars.
Well,
I'm sorry.
No, I understand. Trust me, I understand. Well, we definitely going to make those phone calls. I'll actually be in Houston on Monday. I'm presenting 2 of my scholarships, actually 3 scholarships at my high school, Jack Yates High School. So I'll be definitely talking to my frat brother, Senator Boris Miles, to get his thoughts on this. And have you had any conversations with the NAACP in Lubbock or there in the Woodlands, or have you talked to, or even Gary Bledsoe, who's a Texas State chair of the NAACP?
I didn't know his name. The Lubbock NAACP has been very helpful. Dr. Melina Abdullah has been very helpful.
Yep.
With just wrestling.
It was Melina who reached out to me. So what I'll do is I'll give Gary a call. I know Gary well as well with the Texas State Conference of the NAACP, and hopefully that they can make a statement and try to get some action and bring more attention to this, so you can get some answers and some clarity as to what happened to your son.
I appreciate it. I really do.
All right. We hate to have you on the show under these circumstances, but appreciate you coming on to tell your story, and certainly keep us abreast of any future information you get.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. To close this out, Michael, I mean, this is the thing that, again, we've had to do way too many of these damn stories. And there's no doubt in my mind, if that body cam footage showed her son doing something wrong, charging the cops, cussing at them, flashing, brandishing a weapon, that body cam footage would have already been released.
Absolutely. And not only that, in reading an article on this, it talked about the fact that she watched some body cam footage that was heavily edited, but that footage that she saw contradicted the initial police statement and news reports that made it appear that her son had created a hostage situation. So another question, this is Texas, so the state's attorney general, I don't think he's going to do anything.
Oh, hell no. Ken Paxton is a thug. I mean, again, and that's part of the problem. What you're now seeing, because, Candace, you got this idiot in the Oval Office, the Fed's not going to do anything. They're not going to investigate any cops. So the reality is public pressure is going to have to be applied in this case to get some answers and for them to release the damn body cam footage. That's what's going to have to happen.
Exactly. And they thought after 6 months she was going to go away, which is why Melina had to call you, who, by the way, she's my roommate from Howard University. But that's why she had to call and get some action on this. And what she did tonight was so important because she got out the right information, so someone will either team up with the attorney that she has or make him work harder to do what he needs to do in order to move the needle on this.
Yeah, and look, and again, I don't know who her attorney is. I don't know if he's black, if he's white, Latino, Asian, Native American. I don't know. But here's the reality in cases like this here. You got to go public. You got to use the public. You got to use public pressure. You got to work with civil rights organizations and others to get their attention. Otherwise, they're going to remain silent. And so, so that is the case. And so, yeah, we're going to stay on top of this, folks, because again, that is just, look, a 20-year-old black man going to college and has to come home in a body bag, and the mom can't get answers. Just makes no sense to me at all. Folks, we're going to close the show out here. We have another one of our greats who is now an ancestor. I was aware when he passed away, but the family waited about a week to let us know. Dr. Kjufu, who's a leading voice in black education and empowerment, has passed away. For decades, he challenged America to address the systemic barriers facing black students, especially black boys. He authored more than 30 influential books like Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys and Restoring the Village, Kjufu exposed racial inequities in education and offered solutions to close the achievement gap and to uplift Black communities. He often said, our children don't need charity, they need investment, urging educators and policymakers to prioritize Black youth. Through his publishing company, African American Images, he amplified voices too often ignored. I can tell you that a lot of people all across this country, when you talk about educators, when you talk about psychologists, they often talked about the work of Jawanza Kjufu, and not only that, you know, he appeared on numerous shows. You know, you look at a lot of the national television shows. Sell It Jesse Raphael. You had, of course, you also had Phil, Dr. Phil, all these different shows, and he was talking about you know what was going on, and so again, he was a voice that often spoke on the issues that we often face. Here is one of those interviews.
Well, hold on, I'll look another way, and that's that. There were 1 million Black boys last year that wanted to play in the NBA. Of that million, only 400,000 will even make it to play high school ball. Of that 400,000, only 4,000 will be able to make it to play college ball. Of that 4,000, only 35 will make it to the NBA. Of that 35, only 7 start. And the average life in the NBA is 4 years. So the real problem is we have 1 million brothers looking for 7 full-time jobs the last 4 years. And yet last year we had 100,000 jobs available to be a computer programmer, engineer, or doctor, and only 1,000 brothers qualified. So our appeal to Black males is to realize the odds. That you do most will be that you do best. I mean, we were the first doctor, not Hippocrates, Imhotep. So we have the ability either in math or science or music and sports. But that you do most will be that you do best. If you play basketball from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you'll be a very good basketball player. If you went home and went to the library, you'd be a very good scholar. We need more Black male role models that will encourage our youth in math and science.
Ishmael, how are you reacting to the...
I tell you, Michael, again, he was a huge force in Black education and really emphasizing academic achievement and making it perfectly clear that Black boys were not some strange, dangerous species, that if they were taught properly and communicated to properly, they could excel.
Absolutely. I was very familiar with Dr. Jawanza Kjufu. I posted about his passing on my fan page, the African History Network. It got hundreds of responses. I'm familiar with his works. These are 2 of my favorite books of his, Black Economics and Hip Hop versus Ma'at. I read a number of his books. When I was in college, I got a chance to meet him in person when I was involved in organizing the International Detroit Black Expo here in Detroit. It's about 2008, 2009. He was a speaker there, and I told him personally that his books, his teachings actually helped me get through college, helped me to refocus because I was a business major, and he was one who combined African history with education. And also one time when I guest co-hosted the Mildred Gaddis show here in Detroit, WCHB 1200 AM. He was a guest on the show. So this is a big loss. I personally think he's really underrated as a scholar. I thought there would be more coverage of his passing because of how long and consistent he was with his teachings, and also his 3-part series, Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, was really fantastic as well. So this is a big loss, but people need to get into his teachings, buy his books.
Indeed, and here, before I go to Candace, this is him on the same show talking about, and then which is why what we do is important, images, the images that we see.
There's no question that there's a direct relationship between images and self-esteem. And he goes all the way back to Tarzan, to Superman, to Rambo, to Batman, to even painting the image of Jesus Christ as white. I mean, you can't separate racism from anything. So it's not unlikely then that you have Pope Julius commissioning Michelangelo in 1505 to paint Jesus Christ white. Images control self-esteem. Abraham Lincoln found out very early, when you have 300 slaves on a plantation and one master, it takes a lot of work. Why don't you let them go? but don't teach them who they are. Control their history, control their images. Then you won't have to watch them. Whoever controls the mind will also control the body.
Let's talk about the image of the black man in America when we return. Stay tuned.
That was strong. I mean, Candace, that point there is just on point. We talk about how crucial the images are.
Yeah. Listen, in order to be a better self, you have to see yourself out there in the world, thriving, a representation, something to let you know, oh, listen, I can do that. Sometimes it happens in a teacher. Sometimes it happens in an older brother, older sister, or an uncle. But there's normally someone who is out there so that you can see yourself in a different position. I remember when he was on these shows making rounds, these were books and these were conversations that were happening in churches on Sunday mornings. This is what the preacher would be talking about. And then in Sunday school, and then we had different programming in and around his books, because what he did was he took large pieces of information, was able to break it down in a way that connected the dots for everybody to understand. And what's unfortunate is what he has been saying all these decades is still true today in 2025. We are still dealing with the images that are out there, how we're being perceived. We just had, the mother that was on, painting him as a thug. They would have had that body cam out if he did something that was aggressive. It is all about building images, which is why what you are doing is so important, and just sharing this information and making sure that people know that we're out there, we exist, and people like this doctor were important to our history, and let's not forget it.
Indeed. I'm going to play one more clip before we go.
On this edition of Right and Exact, Dashawn Farad speaks with world-renowned author and lecturer Dr. Jawanza Kjufu about the plight of young black men and young black women, a subject that he has lectured on for over 3 decades.
Dr. Kjufu, given what we've seen over the past 5 years, I would say, with the recent killings of black men, or the recent unjust killings of black men by police officers, should we still be countering a conspiracy to destroy black boys, as you said, over 30 years ago? And if so, why?
Well, unfortunately, the conspiracy continues, and one of my frustrations is that even with video cam, even with video footage of police officers violently killing our people, unfortunately, trying to secure justice in the courts, they keep using the position that the policeman was fearful of his life. And they use that, and they've used it so many times, especially with in court with jurors, where they've been able to win. So our success, our efficacy in winning those cases is less than 20%. And that's with full footage of what took place. But as you know, this conspiracy goes beyond police brutality. I mean, if we just look at the homicide in my hometown, Chicago, where almost every year we're close to 1,000 black males killed by black males. But the conspiracy goes beyond that. I mean, the large numbers of black boys who are placed in special education. I mean, we're 17% of the students, but we're 41% of the special ed children. And if a black child is placed in special ed, 80% are black male children. In most cities like Baltimore, Washington, Detroit, Chicago, our graduation rate is only 50%. So there's some real challenges. So what does a black male do in his current economy with a criminal record and less than a high school diploma? How economically competitive is this young man going to be? What are his economic options if he has a record illiterate? I mean, only 12% of black boys are proficient in reading by 8th grade. The richest country in the world, for some reason, can't teach 88% of black males how to read. This conspiracy continues.
We noticed that in recent years, Dr. Kjufu, you've done, if you would.
So, folks, Listen, Dr. Kjufu, a powerful force in our community, passed away at the age of 71, is now an ancestor. Michael and Candace, I appreciate y'all being on today's show. Thank you so very much. Candace, we'll be hearing from you with the Diddy trial starting next week. So look forward to that. So thanks a bunch. Folks, don't forget, support the work that we do. Again, what we're doing is, critically important. We talk about what we're doing. A lot of folk don't want to deal with, but the reality is you heard Dr. Kjufu talking about those images and what matters and who controls those images. And that's why Black-owned media is so important. We're not interested in, that phrase on the wall over here from Freedom's Journal. We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. That's the issue for me because that's the problem that we have. We're too many other people are speaking for us. They're telling our story. And we have to be able to tell our story, control our story. What you heard when we were having Isaac Hayes III on, talking about the crucial information that he laid out. Again, you're not going to get that information on mainstream media. You're not going to hear them talking about it. And so Black-owned media is vital to us being able to tell these stories. And so we certainly want you to keep supporting the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. That goes to support this show and all the other shows on the Black Star Network. And also, we're launching some new shows. And so, I said how these ad agencies are not supporting Black-owned media the way they should. And so your support is critical. If you can't do that, you can give less. We appreciate that. If you can give more, we appreciate that as well. If you want to give via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. That's it right here. You're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com to get the Stripe QR code. You can send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Make the check payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Also, be sure to download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Also, folks, with a technical issue where our server crashed, and so we're going to be restreaming the entire show. Y'all missed probably half the show. We're going to be restreaming the show at 9 p.m. Eastern. So we normally do at 10, so we're going to have that for you very soon. So you can see the first half of the show. You missed some powerful stuff. Also, be sure to get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. If you want to get this shirt as a T-shirt, as a crew neck or a hoodie, of course, don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. Please do so by going to get our other merchandise as well. RolandMartin.creator-spring.com, RolandMartin.creator-spring.com. The QR code is there as well. Also, don't forget to download the app Fanbase. If you want to invest, go to startengine.com/Fanbase. Sunday is Mother's Day, so shout out to my mom, Imelda Martin. So shout out to her. Come on. Dog, come on. I need you paying attention. Come on. There you go. All right. So shout out to my mom, Mother's Day on this Sunday. Of course, hope y'all have a great Mother's Day as well. And so that's it. I'll be broadcasting live from Houston on Monday, presenting my scholarships at Jack Yates High School, where I attended in Houston. So we look forward to that. It's going to be at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30. We're live streaming that, and I'll be doing the show from there as well. Folks, that's it. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. I'll see y'all on Monday. Holla!